You're listening to the T21 Podcast, brought to you by Down Syndrome Group of the Ozarks. Our mission is to bring life and wellness to families who are advocating towards a community of inclusion for individuals with Down syndrome. Hello and welcome to the T21 Podcast. My name is Chloe Jones, and here with me today, as always, is Amy Bullard.
Hey guys!
And a special guest that I'll introduce in just one moment. Here on the T21 Podcast, we explore topics that are relevant to the Down syndrome community in 21 minutes or less. And today we're going to be talking about benefits planning. But before we get into that, I want to invite you to like and subscribe to this podcast. We want to get this information out to as many people as possible, and you can help us do that. On to today's episode, we have Nate Mort here, and we're going to be talking about a topic that's incredibly important for families navigating the world of disability benefits and long-term planning in regards specifically to employment. So our title today is Benefits Planning. We have Nate Mort with us today. Nate is a work incentives practitioner who's been helping families build security and peace of mind with financially, and especially when it comes to caring for loved ones with special needs. So Nate, welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself just a little more, or did I totally cover it?
No, you did pretty good, yeah. I don't have anything to add to that specifically.
But you work with a local organization. Whenever he came in, he knew already two of our friends that were working with us today that have Down syndrome. So it's cool that you're a big part of the community already, from what I can tell. I
Try
just
to
met
be,
you.
yeah. I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
He's been around for a minute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, today we just wanted to start with the basics. I told them before this that this topic is something I know nothing about. So if you also, as a listener, don't know anything about this, you'll be learning just like me. But first I just want to get into the basics. Why is benefit planning so important?
Well, a lot of people are afraid to seek employment because they don't want to lose their benefits. This is a common myth that we see in special populations all the time. And what I do is to tend to help people to navigate maintaining those benefits, or at least educate them on the choices that they have to make. People might have more money to get to work themselves off of benefits, and that's a choice. That's a fine choice. But depending on the person, maybe they want those benefits to be there forever, to maintain that safety net. So it's about talking about different milestones that happen along the different benefits tracks that people can be on, if that sort of makes sense.
Yes. I wanted to ask, a lot of families are put off, or put it off, What is some of the risks of not planning ahead?
Well, not planning ahead, you've had to plan ahead if you have benefits at all already.
Okay.
If someone is receiving Social Security benefits, they've gone through some red tape to get them, right? It's not easy to attain benefits. And so they ought to know something already about how it is to navigate the Social Security Administration. What was the question? Did I sort of get there?
Well, I just said I think a lot of families put it off about doing it. So what are the risks of not planning ahead?
Right, of not planning ahead. Well, specifically for someone on SSI, the risks are losing them if you don't plan ahead. You need to understand which benefits that the individual is receiving and the requirements that the Social Security Administration has for maintaining them. There are two main categories. I don't know, I'm jumping the gun. But there are two main categories of benefits that people receive, and it's the Title II program, SSDI, which is Social Security Disability Insurance, and SSI, which is Supplemental Security Income. Supplemental Security Income people qualify for because they have a disability or because they're or it's a resource allocation. Someone is in poverty. And there are resource limits to SSI. It tends to be that we see more, at least where I work, more individuals receiving SSI than SSDI. In the case of SSDI, it is just an insurance program like we all hopefully have, wherein a person is drawing off of the work history from Social Security, either of themselves or a family member. And so the amount that people receive is kind of all over the place. And there is really no limit to what a person can earn when they're receiving SSDI, but they count how many months you do earn over a specific dollar amount, and they tally those, and if eventually you've worked that much more than specific amounts, then you'll start to worry about moving on to a different phase of SSDI, and then eventually winding down that benefit altogether. So with SSDI, it's about keeping track of which months one has earned over specific amounts. If that makes sense, there are two different amounts. One is the trial work amount, and you can have 9 trial work months before they'll start to move you to the next phase within a 5-year period, and that's a rolling calendar. So it's a thing to keep track of, and which is one of the reasons that it's important to pay attention, because that's a little complicated, what I just said.
So trial work refers to not full-time employment, or is that the same?
Trial work refers to well, first of all, let's back up a step. Trial work in the world of employment is a confusing term because it, in the world of SSDI, is referring to the number of months that one has worked and in 2025 and earned over $1,160 in the course of a month.
Okay.
That's what the amount is. It will change in 2026. It changed in 2025, just goes up a little bit every year, cost of living. And in the world of vocational rehabilitation, where we also work quite a bit, trial work is a different process. It's a different thing altogether, wherein individuals go through and are trying out different jobs to see what's of interest to them and what they're capable of doing and where the rubber meets the road. So that's super confusing.
Yeah, that's the same term
but
for two different processes.
Very different things.
That's hard for our families.
Yes, and this is a world of alphabet soups that we're in. There's SSA, there's SSI, there's SSDI, there's SSID.
I was just listing those out before this. I'm like, we're going to need to know what they are without the acronyms, and then
right. So SSA, Social Security Administration, SSI, Supplemental Security Income, SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, VR, I threw that one in there, Vocational Rehabilitation, different government agency altogether.
So now you know, those are what we're talking about.
All the terms.
All the terms.
So what looks different with SSDI versus SSI with employment?
Oh, sure. Well, the main thing there is that there's no real resource limit for SSDI. Okay. You can earn as much, you can earn $1 million and you'll still get your SSDI check the next month, but they will count that month that you earned over $1 million as one of your trial work months. And that's how that goes. You're drawing off of somebody's work history. The amount varies by person because you're drawing off of an insurance account that varies by who they're drawing off of. Does that make sense? Yeah. Someone has paid into the system more than someone else. So that's in a nutshell, and to not talk for 20 minutes about SSDI and move on to the other process. But SSDI has different phases to it, and it takes a long time to be phased off of it altogether, and there are ways to get right back on it should one lose that employment that rose again above those milestones.
Gotcha.
And so
that's good for families to know that are maybe worried about losing it.
That's right.
They can. Okay.
There are processes to get back on. Again, Social Security is probably the best safety net in human history, but they can also be very difficult to deal with. As I understand it, it's just humans that work over there too, and they have complicated systems to navigate themselves and are probably super outnumbered
Right.
by the need that exists.
Yeah, for sure.
With what's coming. So, the errors happen over there too. So
Right.
that's one of the things that the education, the certificate that I received from Cornell to do this type of work emphasizes is to be able to sort of keep an eye on what they're doing and then advocate when they have not followed their own rules, which happens from time to time.
Okay.
So the other one, which I think is more common than SSDI in the populations that I serve, is supplemental security income. And there are many rules for that, but it starts out that everybody is getting the same amount once they've qualified. They get a monthly cash benefit of, in 2025, $967 or $1,450 for a couple. And just like that trial work amount that I mentioned, it changes every year with the cost of living. So the first step for meeting with anyone is to have them fill out with me a request for a benefits planning query, or to continue the alphabet soup, BPQY, because that is a snapshot of where a person's benefits stand and can put on a piece of paper for me which program, how much, what's going on right now. Generally speaking, it also will have the health insurance that they're receiving, and SSDI tends to be associated with Medicare, and SSI tends to be associated with Medicaid. But things can get complicated, again, where the BPQY is helpful, because some people are dual eligible and can be receiving both SSI and SSDI and Medicaid and Medicare.
Oh, gosh.
Pardon me.
It's okay.
Anyway, everybody tends to start out, if they're getting SSI only, at the same amount, which is $967 a month in 2025. And from there, Social Security does various calculations based on someone's work activity or whether or not they're living under their parents' roof or someone else who is presumably paying the rent, the utilities, food costs, etc.
Right.
And so frequently, if it's someone who's perhaps attending high school or whatever, still
Right.
living at home, they'll do what's called deeming, or the VTR rule, and they take about a third of the Social Security cash benefit for SSI away. And so that amount tends to be something like 700 something. I don't know. I
Okay.
don't have the number in front of me. But there are ways to get around that and have that amount restored. It's like entering a agreement wherein the individual says, I will pay my share of the mortgage or the rent or and the utilities and my fair share of the food costs from this money that I'm receiving
Okay.
from Social Security. There are processes, and then you'd get the money restored back to that full amount. The other way that before work activity sometimes, well, let's just say about work activity. So the important thing for SSI and planning ahead for families when someone begins work is that you have to report your income. So every month, the individual needs to get their pay stubs out and log them in one way or another to Social Security so that Social Security knows this work has occurred. Because it will affect their cash benefit amount. Usually 2 months later, after you've told Social Security, they will reduce the amount of the cash benefit based on how much you worked 2 months later. It takes them that long.
Oh, wow, yeah.
There are also resource limits, I should mention, too, to Social Security, supplemental security income, and that's that an individual shouldn't maintain more than $2,000 in their bank account. An individual can't have more than one property. One house, one car is allotted for resource limitations because, again, this is a needs-based program.
Is that where MoAble comes into play?
It is. So one common thing that I recommend to people receiving SSI is to get a MoAble account. That's what we call it in the state of Missouri. Every state has an ABLE account system.
Oh, okay.
And it's the stable account tends to be what it is. But it's a way to sort of maneuver funds and have savings for an individual who's receiving SSI.
Okay.
And not have to worry as much about that resource limit, because that resource limit, $2,000 in your bank account, has not changed since 1989.
Oh, wow.
Insert Taylor Swift joke here. So they do talk about raising that resource limit on an annual basis. There's legislature, it just never seems to quite get through. But the discussion in 2024 and 2025 was to raise it to $10,000 from $2,000 for an individual, and even more for married couples.
Wow.
But, and the benefits of an ABLE account is that you can sock money away in there that does not count towards that resource limit, and it goes all the way up to about $100,000. There's really no strings attached to spending money from an ABLE account. ABLE is more of our alphabet soup, though you wouldn't quite know it because it was a well-done acronym, but it's the it's the Achieve a Better Life Experience Act.
Oh, okay.
And so individuals with ABLE accounts are able to use those funds for anything that will make them help them to achieve a better life experience.
Okay.
And that doesn't jeopardize any of their benefits that they might have?
No.
Oh, wow.
No, in fact, it helps them to maintain them.
Wow.
That's awesome.
There's an app for it now, too. So you can download the app and then it links to whatever your primary bank account.
Transfer money from it.
Yep. And
That's very helpful.
It is, yeah.
Because I know, like, I've had in the past individuals that, the spend down, right? The $2,000 that you're talking about, that I've been a nanny for, and they've paid me out of that account so that it will spend down and they won't be stuck in this. This was before the ABLE account was a thing, right?
So they wouldn't be over resources.
So they wouldn't be over resources.
Yep.
And instead of mom and dad paying for that, they paid it out of their account just to save face for that. And so I think it's super helpful.
Yeah, it's another point of fear that people sometimes have is that, okay, I've got $1,500 in my bank account and that $967 is going to come in a week, so I got to go spend $600 today. It's not a thing, and if it is a thing, it's because Social Security is not following their own rules. If the cash benefit is the thing that causes someone to bump over the $2,000, they should not be threatened with losing their Social Security over that. This has been legislated. There have been law cases settled that cannot be the reason. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen sometimes.
Right.
And so best policy is probably to have that MoAble account and just be willing to move the money around
back and forth
as needed.
A question I have is when family or an individual is getting ready to start the world of work, right? Like the fear is, okay, I have this benefit and I'm now going to have an income and I have to watch that. There is a formula, right? What is that formula?
Sure. For supplemental security income, it's a formula wherein you take the amount of earned income and unearned income. I'm going to pull the unearned income out of it. But take the amount of earned income.
So that's their paycheck.
That's their paychecks for the month, and they tally all that up.
Okay.
And let's say it's a human who's working 10 hours a week at minimum wage.
Yeah.
So 10 hours a week at minimum wage is $13.75. Let me get a calculator. I'm going to get a calculator now. I'm sorry.
I love this because that's how I
have
to math.
That's
too.
right. Math, the podcast.
I love that.
See, 13.75 times 10. Okay. And we'll go ahead and say it's a 4-week month. Yeah.
Okay.
So they've made $550.
Okay.
$550. So Social Security takes 2 deductions before they do their little bit. First, it's a general income exclusion. That's what it's called. So they subtract 20, they get down to $530. Ooh.
Could you unlock the door? The front door's locked.
And then they subtract
the neighbor.
A second amount, which is $65, to get to $465. It's a different exclusion that I'm not remembering the title of right now. And then they divide it by 2. So that's $232.50 is that the amount that they get to, right? So they're at $232.50 is what they're counting now, and that's called countable earned income. And then they'll go back to that $967 that everybody's getting. and they'll subtract the $232.50. So you might think, oh no, I'm getting less benefits, which is true. $32.50 equals $700 as you receive 2 months later after reporting that income.
Right.
$731.50, but really you've got $731.50 plus the $550 you earned. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So you have more money.
Yeah, a lot more money.
A lot more money. So work is always going to end up with more money. Eventually you hit a breaking point where the work activity means you've earned so much that you are getting zero
But you're making more.
cash benefit, but you are making more money. And that's just the calculation that they use. It's also not generally a fact that should you hit that break-in point that all of a sudden your benefits are gone.
Right.
It's just that month, or really 2 months later after that work activity, you're not receiving a cash benefit at that moment.
Gotcha.
If you were to continue doing that for a while, Social Security would look at removing you from the rolls. But
Yeah.
doing it once, and a lot of the individuals we see, it's not as though full-time work is really a logical goal
Right.
for them. Sometimes it is, and go for it, like
Yeah, for sure.
sense of purpose and
I love that.
community.
Well, one of the questions we had, so you kind of started it of, okay, you have a child they're starting to work. What is the process? Well, so whenever they're starting the process, how can they find the right help in doing all of this? Who would they go to? Who would they call?
Well, I mean, if they're looking for assistance with employment specifically, it's vocational rehabilitation, and
VR.
VR. Nailed it.
And every agency kind of has a benefits. Well, not every agency.
Not every agency, and not like, and Social Security has people that can help you too,
Okay.
but they are, my understanding is that the people who do similar work to what I do at Social Security are just like drowning in the numbers of it.
Right.
Because there's too many people,
Right.
right? Which is why there are more people with my title popping up around the state.
Right.
There's something like 80 work incentives practitioners in the state, and that's
Okay.
growing every year. Anyway, last I checked, could be a lot more now.
Yes.
Yeah. So they find the VR.
VR.
And then what would be the next step? Would it be getting the BPQY?
Okay, so specifically for assistance in doing this, yeah, there's two paths. So one is VR, one is DMH,
Okay.
the Department of Mental Health. And that's a world that I know you're familiar with some, because there's support coordinators and going to the regional office and this whole pipeline.
Yeah.
And they can provide that service as well. VR does it and DMH does it. DMH does it more involved than VR does it, or, I mean,
And sometimes they cross paths.
yeah, I mean, I provide services like this down both of those paths.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so happy there's people like you because
That know what they're doing.
so.
much. This is so much.
It is a
So
lot, and
much.
I think like we can spend hours talking about this topic, but I think ultimately families have to sit down and provide their scenario to you, because not
Yeah.
every scenario is the same, and then you've got to weed through it and say, for your world, this is where we're at, right? Like, it's not a one size fits all approach, and I think like just talking about the two different types that you deal with the most is overwhelming, right? And then you've got people that do both, and you've got, so there's lots to navigate. You have to know a lot of information.
I
Yeah.
have to try to.
Well, thank you very much for coming
Yeah.
today. I feel like you've provided a very good groundwork of knowledge.
Yeah, for someone that knows nothing about this whole process, that was actually pretty helpful. And now I know a lot more vocabulary. For when people are talking about these things, I know more of what they're. And I hope
She
you
might
do
have
too.
nightmares about it. I'm just
The
kidding.
math, especially.
Right.
Yeah, when you were doing that, I was like, high school flashbacks.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for having us on the podcast today. What we do at the end of each podcast is in 30 seconds, if there's something that you want to share, a little takeaway to parents or providers, what would you like to say to them specifically about benefits planning?
Just to not be afraid of it. It can be a battle. It can be a slog, and don't let that wear you down, and don't be afraid to work either. This is a common myth that work is going to mean you lose your benefits that you're entitled to, and that's not the case at all. There are lots of ways that Social Security encourages you to work. So
that's really
awesome.
good.
It's a great takeaway.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And sharing your wisdom. And then for those that are listening, we're going to drop some helpful links as well as the websites that he was talking about that will point you the direction of where you can start this process, and maybe even a phone number. Or were you saying there was an app, the Moable app?
I mean, yeah, once you have an account, you can.
Yeah, well, I'll include those all in the description so you can see also what we were talking about today. But
Perfect.
we will see you guys next month. See ya.
See ya.
If you would like to learn more about Upside Down Mercantile, you can go to shopupsidedown.com or visit us on Commercial Street in Springfield, Missouri. If you have a topic you'd like to know more about, you can email them to info@dsgo.life.